Hi everyone, happy Thursday? Wednesday, Thursday? I don't know. What we're doing today is we're going to be looking at solving quadratic equations. Now, quadratic equation is any equation that's got an x squared in there. So let's say I've got 5x squared equals 15x. It's still a quadratic equation, not the traditional type. But because it's got an x squared in there and it's got an equals, an equation means equals, it's a quadratic equation. So let's have a look at how we would do this. I mean, one thing that you could do is divide both sides by x. This is what you shouldn't do, and I'll show you why. If you divide both sides by x, you're gonna, x squared divided by x is going to be 5x. 15x divided by x is going to be 15. So divide both sides by 5, you've got x equals 3. So that looks like it should work. I mean, 5 lots of 3 squared, 3 squared is 9, 5 lots of 9 is 45, 15 lots of 3 is 45, so it does work. However, dividing by a variable, in this case with quadratics, gets rid of one of the answers. And it's not incredibly serious at the moment, but when you come to look at later on in year 12, when we have a look at something called trigonometry or solving trigonometric equations, you lose a bunch of solutions. So make sure you don't do that. What you instead do is get everything onto one side and factorise. So if I get this 15x onto this side, 5x squared minus 15x equals 0. You're going to factorise out what you can. So if we factorise out the 5x bracket, 5x times x is 5x squared, minus 5x times 3 is going to be 15x equals 0. Now what we have, because we factorise it, is this thing times by this thing equals 0. If you're going to multiply two things together to get 0, either this thing's got to be 0 or this thing's got to be 0. So we're going to find the solution to both these things. So x equals 3 is this solution. And if we make this thing 0, 5x is 0, so that means 1x is also 0. So we've got two solutions. The one that we got earlier, x equals 3, but also this x equals 0. So that's how you go about doing those ones. Let's have a look at a more traditional one, the one that appears in GCSEs quite a bit. X squared plus 7x plus 12 equals 0. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to factorise it so we've got two things multiplying together to make 0. So this should be relatively straightforward for you guys if you've done well at your GCSEs. So x times x gives us x squared. Something times something makes 12. So we've got 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. And then we're going to have a look at what, when we multiply out, would make 7x. Well, that's going to be 3x. And if we put 4 there, 3 times 4 is a 12. And 3x plus 4x is 7x. So I want that one to be plus and that one to be plus. So x plus 3, x plus 4. However, the question doesn't say, well, it doesn't say anything, but when I asked the question, I didn't say factorise this, I said solve this. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this bracket equal to 0. So we say that x plus 3 equals 0. So we move the 3 onto the other side. So x equals minus 3. And some people just know just to switch the signs around, but the reason that we're doing that is that we're making the x plus 3 equal to 0. So when you put the plus 3 on the other side, it turns into a negative 3. Similarly with this one, x equals minus 4. So x equals minus 4 and x equals minus 3 are the two solutions. And what you could do, if you put minus 4 into this, you'd get 0 out. If you put minus 3 into this, again, you'd get 0 out. So that's a pretty standard type. The next one, 9x squared minus 16 equals 0. There's a couple of ways of doing this one, and I'm going to go through both methods. The first one is we're going to try and factorise, just like we did before, but there's no number that goes into both these things, and there's no letter that goes into both these things. But what I do notice, what you do notice hopefully, is that 16 is 4 times 4. 9x squared is 3x times 3x. So this is something squared, and this is something squared. Now if we do this and this, I'm going to get 12x and 12x. So what I want to do is make one of them plus 12x and one of them minus 12x, so that will cancel out. So this is what we call the difference of two squares. If this thing is something times itself, this thing is something times itself, so this thing is 3x times itself, this thing is 4 times itself, we can do this. So we've got 3x plus 4 and 3x minus 4. So again, the solutions, what we do, if we do this bracket first of all, I'm going to say that 3x equals 4, so x equals 4 over 3. This one here, 3x equals minus 4, and then x equals minus 4 over 3. So those are our two solutions, 4 over 3 and minus 4 over 3. And like I said, there's a couple of ways of doing this one. Now, with the whole difference of two squares thing, the other method that we can use is because we've only got one variable here, this x squared, I'm going to move this 16 onto the other side. So I've got 9x squared equals 16. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide by the 9. So I've got x squared equals 16 over 9. And then I'm going to square root it. So x equals the square root of 16 over 9. And what I've done there isn't fully correct. It doesn't matter quite so much in GCSEs, but one of the things that you've got to make sure that you remember in A level is that when you do the square root, you've got two solutions. You've got a positive and you've got a negative. So we write down plus and minus, just like the quadratic formula, minus b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So this plus minus means that there's going to be a positive solution and a negative solution. So the square root of 16 over the square root of 9. So x equals 4 over 3. And if we have the negative solution, minus 4 over 3. So again, the same solutions as we had last time, it's a different way of doing it. However, it is useful and it's going to be vital on some questions, especially when they're more algebraic and they have involving like trig and stuff like that. You're going to need to make sure that you can spot the difference of two squares. Okay, one more question to go. And then you guys can crack on with the 6th of the worksheets. And again, if there's any issues, just ping me an email and I'll do my best to get back to you as quickly as I can. So we're going to solve 2x squared minus 5x minus 12 equals 0. So again, we're going to factorise this. So I know there's another way of doing factorising when you've got a coefficient of x squared, but I can never remember how to do it. All I do is just do trial and error. But I know that something times something makes 2x squared. There's only one way of doing that, 2x times by x. And I've got something times something makes 12. So that's going to be 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Now, as you do these more and more, which you're going to be doing in A level, you're going to get quicker at doing this. Also, you can use your calculator to do this as well. If I use 1 and 12, if I put 1 there and 12 there, that's going to be 1x and 24x. I can't use those to make minus 5x. If I switch it around, had 12 there and 1 there, I'd have 12x and I'd have 2x. Again, I can't use those to make minus 5x. So what I'll do is I'll play around with the different numbers here, the different factors of 12 until I can make 8x. Sorry, until I can make 5x or minus 5x. And like I say, if you've done it quite a few times, you might be able to spot it quite quickly. So 2x times by 4 is going to be 8x. And then the other factor is 3. So 3 times x is going to be 3x. I can use 3x and 8x to make minus 5x. I'll start off at 0. If I go up by 3, so it's going to be plus 3x. I'm going to take away 8x, so plus 3 minus 8. That's going to get me down to minus 5x. And again, we haven't solved anything yet. All we've done is we've factorised. So we've then got to write down the solutions. So this one is simply x equals 4. And this one, 2x equals minus 3. And then x equals minus 3 over 2. And that's it. Hopefully you should be able to do most of the questions that are on there now. Again, if you get stuck at all, just give me an email.